I've been really impressed with what Citizen have been doing lately with all of their watches, not only their dive watches, but their everyday watches as well. Today I have 4 different dive watches to show you guys. All 4 of them are Promaster dive watches and all very impressive. Let's flip the camera and take a look and sort of compare 4 different dive watches from Citizen. So today we have 4 different Citizen dive watches on the table to show you guys. All 4 very different from the others on the table, and I have them in ascending order by price. So starting with the Promaster Dive Automatic. This is currently the cheapest automatic dive watch that Citizen are offering. It comes in under $500 on the bracelet, and you get an 8 series Miota movement inside. It does hack and hand wind. You get a sapphire crystal, 120 click bezel. It's ISO certified, so you get a lot for your money with this watch. So under $500. Then we have $650. This is the Ecozilla. It's Eco Drive stainless steel, DLC coated stainless steel for the case and bezel. Case back is in stainless steel. And then of course you're getting an integrated strap on here. This is a 48 millimeter watch, while this is a 44 millimeter watch, but they don't look that different in size. This actually wears a lot smaller than its dimensions, and so does the Ecozilla. Because you don't really have lugs, it actually wears very nicely, especially for a 48 millimeter watch. This is a 41 millimeter watch. This is the Promaster Dive Automatic in Super Titanium, a very light watch that has an extra hard coating on it, and it is awesome. It's one of the best everyday watches, everyday dive watches under $1,000, hands down, that you can buy. I love this watch. In fact, this is my personal watch. All the rest here are lent into the channel, and they do have to go back. That's why I'm making this video. Last but not least, and I think my favorite watch on the table, because it's sort of a combination of everything else here. This is another watch that's powered by a 9 series Miota movement. So these 2 right here, powered by a 9 series Miota movement. This one is under $1,000. This one is just about $1,000, maybe a little bit over, but it gets a titanium case. Again, this is super titanium, however, it gets a DLC coating, a textured dial, a textured bezel. The dial itself is in a blue fume pattern, which is phenomenal. I'll do close-ups of it so you can see what I'm talking about. And then you have the yellow accents, so sort of like a highlighter yellow minute hand and seconds hand. Really stands out against this sort of blue-black color scheme. It looks phenomenal. Anyway, very quickly, I'm gonna throw each one of these on my wrist. I'll talk a little bit more about the specs, and then we will do a lume shot. The lume on here, I'm not actually sure which watch on this table has the best lume, but I wanna show you each one of these on my 7.5 inch wrist, and then we'll find out which one has the best lume. So quickly, we will start with the Promaster Dive Automatic, the most affordable diver on the table. So here it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. You have the crown at the 8 o'clock position for the automatic versions of the Promaster Dive Automatic. If this was the Eco Drive version, you would have the crown at the 4 o'clock position, so that's a little bit of a difference between the two. This gets a sapphire crystal, 120 click bezel, solid bracelet, so that was an upgrade for this, including that sapphire crystal, which is an upgrade. It's ISO certified, and it's powered by an 8 series Miota movement. It does hack and hand wind. A lot of 8 series don't do that. This one does. That 120 click bezel is excellent. It has really good action, and it sounds really good. Everything lines up on this watch, so there is no issues with alignment in the chapter ring or that 12 o'clock index. Just a fantastic watch for under $500. And I said this a few times, it's sort of a great replacement for those who are looking for an SKX from Seiko. This is a better watch at a better price, in my opinion. So if you're in the market for an SKX, definitely consider this watch, because these are very easy to get and I think look just as good or better than an SKX. Next, let's take a look at the Ecozilla. So here is the Ecozilla on my 7.5 inch wrist. This is a 48 millimeter watch. It is a big boy. This is 48 millimeters, but it doesn't really wear like a 48 millimeter. It feels like a 46 millimeter, I would say. It sort of looks like a 46 millimeter as well. You have a really secure bezel. You have to dig your fingers into these grooves to actually move the bezel. It is not easy. It's a 60 click bezel, and they do that on purpose because they want it to be protected. You don't want to be able to move this bezel unintentionally, and that's kind of the reason why they do it. You also get a very protected crown. It's shaped like a hockey puck. You have the integration of the strap into the case, so that's why it wears a little bit smaller than its dimensions. Really good lume on here as well. We will do a lume shot towards the end. $650 on this watch, which I think is pretty good. The only thing is you do get a mineral crystal on here, and the reason why they do that is because it's better for diving, or at least that's what I think they are doing it for, and you do have very good protection of the crystal because the bezel is sort of raised up over the crystal, so it's pretty protected, and I think it's kind of the reason why they are doing it. Anyway, let's quickly take a look at the super titanium version of the Promaster Dive Automatic right now. So here's the Promaster Dive Automatic in super titanium on my 7.5 inch wrist. This gets a 41 millimeter case. That's at the case and the bezel. Super titanium, so you get a super hard coating on here. It is almost scratch resistant, and I've been wearing this on and off for a few months, and I have gotten almost no scratches on this watch whatsoever. It gets a 9 series Miyota movement inside, so it's a little bit thinner than the other watches that I've shown you so far, and it gets a sapphire crystal, which gets a beveled edge. This has a blue dial with a blue bezel. That bezel, I believe, is a steel insert, so that will scratch over time and patina, which kind of isn't a bad thing in my opinion. And of course, one of the best things about this watch, I'm actually using it right now, there's a little bit of on-the-fly micro adjust. So technically this is a diver's extension, but you can use this as micro adjust. All you need to do is push it back in, you can pull it back out, and you can get a few millimeters of adjustment if you need it. I wouldn't go too far out because once you do, it would look a little bit weird, but I think, you know, putting it just a few millimeters doesn't really make that much of a difference aesthetically, and of course it makes a difference in wearability. So this is a really great watch, especially considering the price on this at around $1,000, under $1,000. Really good looking watch with great functionality. So next, let's look at the last watch on here. This is the 46 millimeter version of the super titanium Promaster Dive Automatic. So this is a big watch. It's 46 millimeters, but in my opinion, it doesn't wear like a 46 millimeter watch. It wears more like a 44 millimeter watch. That's because at the bezel, that's where that 44 millimeters is measured. At the case, there's like sort of a shroud that goes around the entire bezel. That's where it measures at 46 millimeters. So visually, this wears like a 44 millimeter watch. Also, you get a lot of texturing on the dial, applied indices, lots of lume. You have yellow accents as well, which is really cool. The bezel on here is awesome. You have texturing in that bezel that sort of mimics what you get on the dial, and the bezel action, excellent for a titanium watch. It is really, really good. Very similar to what you get from the titanium watch that I just showed you, my personal watch. However, this is a little bit different. It's really grippy as well. I love this bezel. And you have these screws in here. It looks just different from any other dive watch that I have seen from Citizen, and I love it. I love the strap on here, and you even get a lumed Citizen on the buckle. This thing is cool. I think this goes for around $1,000, $1,050, somewhere in that neighborhood. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, dive watch from Citizen currently. I would love to see this on a bracelet. I have not seen this on a bracelet. If it's anything similar to the Promaster Dive Super Titanium that I own, this is probably hands down my favorite watch that Citizen currently make dive watch wise. Well, there you go. Really great lume from all of the watches on the table. I think probably the Promaster Dive and the Ecozilla have the best. Those are the two on the right side of the screen. The two on the left side of the screen have very, very good lume as well. Just the indexes, the indices on the dial itself are a little bit smaller. The hands are a little bit smaller, so the lume isn't as good as the other two, but all four have really great lume. They do a good job overall with these watches, and obviously I will be sad to see these 3 watches go. Obviously this is my personal watch. I think I'll be saddest to see the 46mm super titanium version to go with that textured dial. I absolutely love it, and I will definitely miss it. Anyway guys, tell me what you think down in the comments below. Which one out of these 4 was your favorite? Which one would you consider buying? Tell me down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.